Festival is into its third day in northeast Arnhem Land, and it's been a busy event with the PM announcing his new Indigenous policy direction and an apology from the NT Police Commissioner.
Well, climate change and the environment will be on the agenda today with Pacific Islander leaders joining the festival. Well, joining us now is ABC presenter Dan Bourchier, who is at the Garma Festival, where he is also joined by the new Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Social Justice Commissioner, Katie Kiss, who, Dan, is embarking on a listening tour, and this is her first TV interview.
It most certainly is. Good morning, Fowles and Joe. Good to be with you here from this incredible land of Yolngu country at the Garma Festival. You can probably hear some woodwinds off in the distance. There is a lot of rehearsals going on for some big performances tonight. Today, the conversation is going to be looking to the past and understanding the future. Katie Kiss is the new Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Social Justice Commissioner. And you, Katie, welcome to the program. Thanks very much for joining me.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for touching base.
And you're embarking on a listening tour. What are you hoping to hear? What are you expecting to hear?
Dan, it was my 4-month anniversary in the role yesterday.
Congratulations.
So 3rd of April I started. I've got a big agenda that I've laid out with some broad priorities. So my first sort of priority is to make sure that I'm hearing from First Nations people about what their priorities are, not me just assuming that these things are important to our people, but being able to see whether the things that they're talking about actually fit into my priorities and how do we progress forward into the future on trying to address the structural arrangements to support achieving those aspirations.
And one of the themes that comes through in some of your priorities around human rights, building on the frameworks that are there, and also further implementation around the UN Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous peoples. Why is that such an important pillar for you?
One of my key functions in the role is to monitor the exercise and enjoyment of human rights by First Nations people. The Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People provides the overarching universal framework that's globally accepted that ensures the survival and dignity of First Nations people. And so it enables and it provides an instrument for government to actually interpret the rights that First Nations people have in the context of the broader human rights system. So, you know, Australia is a signatory to a number of treaties, the race discrimination treaties, the rights of women and children. So the Declaration interprets that in the context of how do we deliver those rights for First Nations people in their context.
And you've also got a number of focuses around land justice, around health and education that I suspect are building on the work of former commissioners. You've also got a focus on voice, treaty and truth. Now that, of course, the 3 pillars of the Uluru Statement has been a big conversation here. I think it's fair to say there's been quite a bit of angst about the referendum last year and where to from here. What's your observations about the tenor of the debate and where we're going, I guess particularly in light of what the Prime Minister said yesterday?
First of all, you know, we welcome the fact that the Prime Minister was here yesterday. He's still engaged in the conversation, which is a very positive outlook for us. Coming back to Garma, and you know, this is where these conversations take place, and the power and the law and everything that sits in this land is important for these debates to be happening in places like this. I think voice, treaty and truth, the pillars of the Uluru Statement from the Heart, are absolutely critical to progress the tangible outcomes that government keeps saying that they want to see progressed. If we don't have those pillars in place, the relationship won't be right between government and First Nations people. So I think the 3 pillars provide the overarching framework for us then to delve down into like those closing the gap targets, the 17, 19 targets that we have, to actually get the structures right and create the conditions for us to be able to see some change in those dials around where those targets are going. And we're only seeing 5 out of those on track at the moment. So,
And very demoralising what we saw in this latest snapshot, which is a continuation of what's been in place. The Prime Minister yesterday reaffirmed commitment to Makarrata, and there have been some who have questioned that because the Uluru Statement expressly calls for a Makarrata Commission, an actual structure to do that work of agreement making and conflict resolution. What was your observation? Because some say that the Prime Minister has shifted language, others say that perhaps the speech wasn't as fully developed or as clear as it could have been.
I think First Nations people need to hear a solid commitment from the Prime Minister about where we're going into the future on voice, treaty and truth. You know, they have asked for Makarrata, and Makarrata is about coming together, but it's also about the rules of engagement and how we work in partnership to achieve the practical outcomes that people keep saying they want to achieve. So I think while it's all nice and fuzzy language about coming together, It needs to be much more than that, and a Makarrata Commission is necessary, and the way we engage needs to be confirmed in treaty agreements. So that we've got those rules of engagement very clear, we understand what we're both working towards, and we're committed to those things going forward.
And look, just finally, Commissioner, yesterday the Northern Territory Police Commissioner made an apology for the way that police have treated Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people here over 154 years in the Northern Territory, and also outlined a raft of work that's going to happen, including a very senior Indigenous woman, Leanne Little, Islander woman from Central Australia. I wonder what your reaction or observations are of what we've seen and heard so far.
Dan, it's a long time coming, as the Commissioner identified. You know, the work that he's doing with the communities up here is really important in changing the way and the culture of the force and how it operates, and that's across the country, not just here in the Northern Territory. So I think good on him for coming and facing the people at Garma yesterday and offering that apology, but that has to be backed up by meaningful action. And, you know, there's a whole lot of stuff happening here in the Northern Territory that we've seen in the media around the way that the police force engages with our people, but also in the coronial inquests that are ongoing at the moment. And we need to make sure that things like racism and stuff are not allowed to permeate within the force, but also within the broader structures of the police. So within the police union, the police commission, the ministerial officers, all of that stuff, the culture needs to change across the board if we're going to see a better relationship between police and Aboriginal people in the future.
Yeah, an important point about cultural change. Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander Social Justice Commissioner Katie Kiss, thank you so much. Congratulations on the role. Good to have you along. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Dan.
And there we were hearing, well, a real focus on real change, tangible change, and that's what I've been hearing, Fowles and Joe, with everyone here on the ground. People are talking about the past, reflecting on what's happened, very much in many instances looking to the future and saying, okay, where do we go to from here? What is the kind of agenda? And you heard there from the Commissioner saying really clear language and a clear agenda from the Prime Minister and the government is key at this point.
Some very insightful conversations. Thank you very much.